here we are. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm Pierluigi Paracchi. I'm the executive member of the Italian Association of Biotech, Assobiotech, and I am the coordinator of the Small and Medium Enterprise Group. But I'm also the co-founder of Genenta. Maybe a lot of you know that Genenta is a spin-out from San Raffaele Hospital. We are a clinical stage company. We are in the clinic, we are treating patients, and now we are listed on NASDAQ. So at the moment, Genenta is the only Italian company listed on NASDAQ. The idea is behind this fireside chat is also to share this knowledge, and hopefully Genenta open a path that can allow other companies to reach this market. The reason why we are putting together this group and invite guests is that we would like to create a strong connection between the Italian solid and great tradition science with US investors. Maybe a lot of you know that in the second week of January every year in San Francisco, we have the most important event for life sciences and biotech industry. That is the JP Morgan Healthcare Week. And maybe part of you know that usually during that week, as Italy, with the support of the Italian Consulate in San Francisco and other partners like the Italian Trade Agency, we used to organize a huge event, a physical event during the JP Morgan Week. Since starting from this year, we had a physical hub that is named Innovit, that is the Italian Innovation and Cultural Hub in San Francisco. And this January, we organized the event in Innovit. Let me also mention very, very briefly a long list of partners that are supporting these fireside chats and these events. So we have NASDAQ, so the stock exchange, the Assobiotech, Pharma Industria, Italian Trade Agency, the Italian American Chambers, the Cluster Alizei, Innovap, that is the Italian Association of the Startup Company, ISNAF, that are the group of the Italian scientists in the US, based in the US, NIAF, the National Italian American Foundation, Nucleate, that is a world organization of biotech students, and the Italian Consulate in San Francisco. So let me start from here, since we are very lucky to have a very smart and very entrepreneurial consul in San Francisco. So Sergio Strozzi is joining us. So Sergio, please introduce yourself and give us some more info about Innovit that is very, very active in this day. Sergio? Now you are on mute, Sergio, please. Yes, perfect.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, Pierluigi, for this opportunity, and I thank all the organizers, the co-organizers on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. This is very important because first point I want to mention, and I have to, so I'll be very quick and I leave the floor to the main speakers. As you know, Italy is growing as a market for innovation. Innovative ecosystems in Italy are largely growing in the past 3-4 years, notwithstanding the pandemic impact. And especially taking advantage of the huge amount of recovery and resilience funds from Europe, Italy is gaining the largest amount of them, which means over 230 billion euro aimed at boosting the innovation ecosystems in Italy, digitalization of both public and private sector. This is why, as Italian institutions and government, we deemed it very important to have a new tool for new bridges between United States innovative ecosystems, venture capitals, and companies and big companies, and Italian growing startups ecosystems. And this new tool is Innovit, which you mentioned before. I will tell you more about this in a minute. The other thing I want to say is that we are talking to American investors. There are large investments flowing to Italy from abroad, and the United States is not missing. They are coming. We have a very recent investment by Intel. We have investments in strategic tech hubs in Italy, like Milan. I just would like to mention that the first UC Berkeley Skytech accelerator office in Europe will be in Milan, is already operating, helping Italian startups in every vertical to grow up and to tie with American investors as well. This is a sign, and that's what I would like to stress and point out. This is the sign of how Italy and Italy's economy is growing right now. So the interesting point for American investors who are looking for not already grown markets, but growing markets, the future growing markets, Italy is the place to be for new investments in these years. And I think it's worth to have a better knowledge of what's going on in Italy. And one of the sectors which I would like to say is largely growing in Italy is the life sciences and biotech sector. Genenta is just at the top of this new wave of Italian growing economy, and I congratulate Genenta, Pierluigi, for the extraordinary achievements you achieved. And to make more bridges and to intercept capitals, companies, and to have, let's say, a further cooperation between Italy and the United States in the life sciences fields, I think the new tool the Italian government has set up in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, is essential, is a key tool, and the name is Innovit. I will show you the gadget. As you said, I'm pretty much on the marketing and entrepreneurial. This is Innovit logo. Innovit, which means that we opened a new place in San Francisco, apart from the consulate general premises, obviously, because we thought it would be important to have a physical presence to bring our companies to San Francisco, physically to Silicon Valley, and meet investor VCs, stakeholders from Silicon Valley, and tighten our ties and cooperation with these actors. So the Italian Innovation Hub, which matches not only business, but also cultural promotion and scientific cooperation between Italian universities and Silicon Valley, Bay Area, and in general, US universities like Stanford, Berkeley, UCSF, and so on, is a physical space of 12,000 square feet, which is a big thing in San Francisco, as you can imagine. It's a whole co-working space in this area, 2 floors, 2 stores. And we basically have an accelerator inside the building, the Italian Institute of Culture, and the desk of the Italian Trade Agency for foreign direct investment attraction. What we do with the accelerator, with the Innovation Center, directed by Alberto Acito, who is a big guy in Silicon Valley, Italian expert of investment and the startups in Silicon Valley, and is leading the Innovation Center at Innovit. And with myself, obviously, is to bring startups every quarter from Italy to San Francisco, contaminate them with Silicon Valley, and hopefully send them back to Italy to grow our market and startups ecosystems. So, for example, 2023, we are having programs every quarter, like we will have in the next 4 years. It's a long-term project. It's not going to end up in 1 year. Every quarter, we bring startups from Italy in different verticals. First quarter 2023 was artificial intelligence and metaverse. The second one, right now, we have 30 startups at Innovit in San Francisco, dealing with blockchain, cybersecurity, and robotics and IoT, Internet of Things. The third one will be clean tech in September, aerospace in December, and the first one, 2024, due to JP Morgan, as you mentioned, event in San Francisco, will be biotech and life sciences. So this is amazing news for Italy. It's a new wave of connections between US capital and startups market and the Italian markets. We are at your disposal. The website of Innovit is innovitsf.com. You can also visit Call for Innovit, for in digit number, .com, and you can find the bids and the offers for the quarter calls for startups. Thank you very much, Pierluigi. I remain at your disposal.
Thank you, Sergio. And the idea that we are launching the new call for biotech and life science company in January, I think that can attract the attention of the audience that we have here today. And we are totally aware about the cost of the offices and the spaces in San Francisco downtown, because we are very close to Union Square. So the effort from the Italian consulate is very high, and this is something that can help our ecosystem to grow. Okay, moving from San Francisco to one of our guests that is on the other side of the United States, in the East Coast. So let me introduce one of the smartest VC and very active VC in the United States, that is Conley Jones from Alexandria Venture Investment. Hi, Conley, please let us know more about you, about Alexandria Ventures, and especially since you are a scientific background, tell us how someone can move from the bench to Wall Street, please.
Yeah, thank you, Pierluigi. It's a pleasure to be here today and join you guys on this important topic. My name is Conley Jones. I'm a principal with Alexandria Real Estate Equities and Alexandria Venture Investments. So I'm a member of Alexandria's science and technology team. And so my team is unique in that we sit between both the commercial real estate arm of the company, which is purely dedicated on supporting commercial life science. But then as the other half of my role is with Alexandria Venture Investments, supporting our venture portfolio across North America. And just, within the past 5 years, we have been consecutively ranked the #1 most active corporate early stage life science VC, which is a feat we're definitely very proud of. So, that just speaks to, the relationships and networks that we've made across the US and Canada and all of the clusters in which we operate, really investing in the life sciences broadly, whether that's therapeutics, diagnostics, life science tools, services, et cetera. So really, serving as more than just a...
Since you are the #1 as the most active investor, so what does it mean in terms of numbers of investment that you do per year, more or less, if you have the number?
I don't have the exact number of my whole team, but I can mention that, just my portfolio, and there's, 12 to 15 of us across on my team across the nation. I manage over 25 direct equity investments between New York City, Canada, and Maryland, which are the regions that I support. But that's our ranking is by deal volume. So just definitely a very large portfolio compared to some of our peers that might only do 1 to 3 investments per year. We might do that much in 2 weeks.
And since the market, because we see that a sort of winter is coming now. In Italy, the numbers of the VC are not increasing so much. Well, if you need to make a comparison versus the last year, to be honest, we are really below the numbers of 2022, 2021. I see the same numbers in the US. You are still active in this market condition. Are you still looking for companies and new investment?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say winter is coming. I would say winter is here, unfortunately. But with that in mind, Alexandria still remains very active despite the current environment. So, deals are taking longer to close. I would say a lot of particularly later stage life science VCs have pulled back quite significantly to focus on maintaining their portfolios and follow-on rounds for them. But Alexandria has been relatively unique, I think, this year, given that, in addition to supporting our existing investments, we are making new deals. We're looking and actively searching for new investments. Obviously the volume has gone down a little bit in the current environment. Deals are taking longer to close. Investors want to do more diligence, make sure that they're spending more time to thoughtfully get these companies set up for success. So, as long as we find partners to invest alongside, I think there's still a lot of opportunities for first-time founders and CEOs with really strong science and a really strong mission and within the life sciences to address unmet need. I think there's still a lot of opportunities for companies like that to raise capital.
This is a good signal because not a lot of the VC out there are super active, and I can understand because now it's as you said, the winter is here, even if it's very warm and hot outside, especially I don't know in New York, but I think that is the same. And back to give us some numbers. What is the total asset under management that you have, and let us understand what are you looking for in terms of what is the sector that you are more focused right now?
Yeah, we have about $1.5 billion in assets under management, split between both direct equity investments, and we also invest in life science funds, which is also somewhat unique to us. But in terms of our scope, we're pretty broad in the life sciences. So, I would say we're more narrowed by stage, really coming in at that seed and Series A, sometimes Series B for our first check. But that can be across all therapeutic modalities, all clinical indication areas. We also do investments in diagnostics, in tools, in services, biomanufacturing platforms, and so really anywhere that we feel that there's strong innovation, meeting a strong unmet need within the life sciences. I think it's fair game.
Yeah. And you know why I think that your presence today is very interesting for our audience, for our entrepreneurs, the CEOs, for the wannabe startup one day, is that you have as you mentioned, this hybrid model. You have the real estate and you have the VC arm. And Genenta, as you know, has an office, has a presence at the Alexandria Center in Manhattan since 2017. And to be honest, it's a very nice place, quite expensive, but I mean, very on the east side with an incredible view from the labs, from the offices. But this is also a very intense lab in terms of network and connection. So thinking about a lot of other companies that are based in Europe or in Italy, you can offer, let me say, a solution to cross the ocean in terms not only for the investment, but also to create a hub, a presence in the US based on the Alexander Center that, as I said, I'm using since 2017. Please comment on that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think especially in, whether it's Boston, New York City, or elsewhere, we have a lot of examples of European companies that maybe have their main headquarters and R&D operations there, looking to establish a US presence so that they can better access, US regulatory infrastructure, clinical trials, US investors such as ourselves. And so in New York, for instance, obviously we're home to Genenta's US headquarters. We also have companies like Selectus, IO Biotech, and there's a lot of other examples where, European companies can set up some sort of US presence very seamlessly with us, and be surrounded in a community, in an environment of other biotechs, from day one. And I think that's, that's a really core model to what we do on the real estate side, is creating these campuses and ecosystems of life science entrepreneurs, investors, companies, to all kind of coexist within maybe like one central campus, like we have in New York City.
Not only very, very helpful, the model is super interesting for someone that is on this side of the Atlantic. Okay, thank you for now. We come back later. So let me introduce the second guest that we have today, because the idea of this fireside chat along the road to JP Morgan 2024 is to present the Italian science, the Italian scientists to US investor, and the Italian ecosystem to the US investor. So we have with us Giuseppe Novelli, that is the head of genetics research unit at Tor Vergata in Rome. And he's a scientist, a very prominent scientist, and also co-founder of startups and spin out. Giuseppe, please bring us to the frontier of the genetic sequencing and the impact of the genetic sequencing in the industry.
Thank you, Pierluigi. The opportunity to be here with you this evening, it's very nice opportunity for me. I would like just to start with a sentence very important in this context for me. It's the Italian paradox in science. What is this? It's very simple. we have great research, very excellent publications, numerous citation in terms of citation index of Italian researchers, but very little technological transfer. Of course, genetic is an exception in this, but in general, this is the Italian paradox. Why? We need to change, for me, the perspective of our university. When I was at the Italian National Agency for Evaluation of a university, I suggest to introduce the third missions of the university. What this means is to change the mission of traditional Italian university. In terms in the past was creating, preserving, integrating, and transmitting knowledge. But at present, I think it's important to innovate and apply knowledge. This is my vision of the science at the moment at the university. And in terms of my job, as you know, I'm a geneticist. I'm involved in genomics at the present at the University of Rome Tor Vergata and the University Hospital, but also for other jobs that I have the opportunity to work in US at Reno University, Nevada University, I am adjunct professor in pharmacology in this context. What is important? What about the genome at present? Okay, it's very easy. Now,
sorry to interrupt because I just have a comment on what you just said, because if I see the gap that you mentioned, that we are totally aware that we have great science, we don't have, let me say, all the capability to make the translation, but somehow this is the opportunity for the investor, no? Because they can find less competition in our country, find great science, and great scientists are very, very cheap compared to Boston area or Silicon Valley. This was also my experience when I pitched Genenta to crossover funds in the US, and I told them that, let me say, quote unquote, with only 40 million, we were able to enter in the clinic with a cell therapy, personalized medicine, and treat 20 plus patients. They don't believe us. They think that is not impossible, because in the US, to do the same thing, you need almost double of this cost. In fact, we are seeing some US investors that started to invest in Italy because they saw this gap, something that say the science is something that they can compare, but the cost for the preclinical work and clinical works is totally different, and especially in this market condition is a clear advantage. So sorry for the interruption. Go on.
I perfectly agree with you, Pierluigi. What is important is the quality of the diagnostics. For example, genomics. It's, you know, it's a famous, in his book, my friend Aubrey Milansky, he said that know your genes and save your life. Okay, at present, it's very easy to do a genomics analysis. What about the $200? But the problem is, what about the interpretation of the genome result? Now it's similar to the horoscope, and this is not good for patients and for families due to genomic analysis. Therefore, my last experience in this field is to collaborate with an Italian startup at L'Aquila city. They start with a new company, Dante Genomics. In few years, from zero, now this company it's about gain $50 million in 5 years. It is wow. Very good performance. But why they ask me a collaboration about the genomics? Because what is important, the interpretation of data. Therefore, we start with a collaboration with our department. We analyze for single people, what about the result of the personal genomics in terms of genomic risk, in terms of disease, in terms of risk of the family. And what is important, we established a new protocol for the genomic analysis. Therefore, we start with a genetic counseling pre-test, we perform a genomic test, and we perform the counseling post-test. This has changed completely the protocols available at the moment in the majority of genomics company in the world, because many aspects are very difficult to interpret the genomics results, because you have, for example, a general risk for atopy or general risk for alopecia. What is the risk about color of hair? It's what is I call genoscope. It's just an horoscope. For this reason, it's very important to establish collaboration between university departments and a small company like Dante Genomics. This is a new route for this small company. And we have in Italy a very large number of small companies about this field of genomics, of course. But for me, I think this is very important for the future in order to give result of quality. And Dante Genomics now is operative in Emirates, in US, and using the teleconsulting, it's a very fantastic tool. We performed counseling people in any part of the world via Zoom or other system. And this is when we changed the paradigm of the genomic results. This is just a very short experience, very recent experience in the genomic analysis at the moment.
I'm very happy to feel you so proud about the success that you can get starting from the university, from Italian university. Okay, back to Conley. So most of the people here has launched a company or they want to launch companies. We really wanted to understand what there is behind the scene. How is your process of selection? Give us some colors about what is important for you in terms of science, in terms of the team, if you need to see developer people with experience, if you wanted to understand the new mechanisms of action. So give us, let me say, the key to enter in a good relationship with you or with other US VC and to create a company together.
Yeah, I mean, in any given year, I'm probably seeing hundreds and hundreds of pitch decks. And so, just with that volume of what I see, every day, I think there are some threads that emerge of what's most important to us. And, obviously management is super important, but I think business experience within like commercial biotech, we see a lot of first-time founders that often make great CEOs just because they have, the will and the dedication and the belief in their own science to take, a company and translate it to the market. I think, there's a number of companies in our portfolio that are being led by PIs who have left their labs to work just, 100%. On a venture, and some of those companies can be very successful. So I don't discourage PIs that might be thinking of a more entrepreneurial route from feeling discouraged about going in that path, because I think where we see companies sometimes fail with that sort of is where you have a PI who's half in his lab and half in the company. I think the most successful ones have kind of a dedicated management team or are that dedicated management team. So that's definitely one thing. I would say strength of science, obviously important, hands down.
Let me comment on the team because it's one of the key, because it said that we have scientists with good experience that are able to publish the top scientific review in the world. The lack that we feel is that we don't have a lot of experience in the development, no? And let us understand how is important to have, let me say, gray hair people that join the team, that join the PI, that join the scientists that had experience in the big pharma company that has developed product.
Yeah, no, that's definitely very important to a company's success. So, maybe a first-time CEO doesn't have that industry development experience. That should be your number one hire, is someone that can come in day one and kind of know how to navigate that R&D process. If your experience has more been academic or in the lab. So I would definitely, it's all about building out your team based on your strengths and your weaknesses, so that you're kind of covered from day one. And then as you kind of raise capital and can expand your team, really filling those gaps, expeditiously, so that, you're not doing everything, and that, you're not letting your ego get in the way of you hiring the right people to help you out.
Well, Colin, you know the story. If I want to hire as a startup someone that arrived from GSK or Novartis, the compensation is something like 200, 300, 400. And if I don't have already raised money, it's difficult to pitch you with the right team since I'm not in the condition to have money. So how you solve this paradox? So we have great science, great scientists. We don't have the team because we don't have the money now to hire this kind of person that we are describing. In that case, what is the key?
You know, I think this is where, you know, I don't see enough CEOs put enough emphasis on telling a compelling story. And I think storytelling as it relates to any new venture is something that I always have a keen kind of eye for, because a lot of people who have been in industry for, you know, or pharma for 10, 15, 20 plus years, you know, they might just want something completely different, and salary, you know, may not be the first thing on their mind. They might be more interested in working for a really cool and compelling company that's doing really innovative work, that and able to innovate quickly and fast and bring things from, you know, bench to bedside in a way that they've never been able to kind of work alongside in their career to date. And so, you know, there's always the promise of, you know, equity in early stage companies. And if your company is acquired, that can like more than make up for that, you know, salary difference, you know, maybe at the end of the day. But a lot of the times it's, you know, people that are coming from more, you know, pharma industry experience coming to a biotech are looking to have a more kind of direct impact on patient lives and research. And I think when you have a smaller biotech venture, you're able to just kind of get a little bit more meaning out of your day-to-day at times. And I think that that's a really important point of just kind of establishing that entrepreneurial spirit and culture, whether that's at a university or kind of an academic medical center, or a tech transfer office, of just trying to kind of foster that interest in, you know, venture creation, venture formation.
You have this kind of network, so you can be the partner that can say, okay, I love your science, I'm ready to invest, and I can introduce you to a couple of guys that have the experience that you need for the development of your product. Do you have this network?
Yes, now we do. So I think we're in a place now, especially, I mean, New York City is a great example where 20 years ago, there wasn't really any significant biotech infrastructure or ecosystem. Companies would move to New Jersey or Boston, and you know, over time we had to kind of create a biotech ecosystem kind of from scratch. And now 20 years later, we're at the point where, you know, we're able to recruit top talent from major pharmas, maybe based in New Jersey, to New York City based biotechs, you know, just on the promise of, you know, really strong science, really strong founders, really strong founding teams. So there's been a total shift in willingness of people from large pharma to come to early stage biotech. I think it's seen as exciting, it's seen as sexy. I think there's just a totally new way of thinking about, you know, early stage ventures.
Helpful. Okay, thank you for that, Conley. And back to Giuseppe. So you mentioned one great case of success that was Dante, but I know that you were also a co-founder of Bioscience Genomics. That is a spin-off from Tor Vergata. Please.
Thank you. This
example.
Thank you, Pierluigi. This is a very nice story. At the beginning of 2000 here, we published a paper in which we demonstrated the possibility to analyze the fetal DNA in the maternal blood. Okay, in according with the just after 2 papers probably in Taiwan. This is a new technique for prenatal diagnosis, because you can change the idea, not invasive technique, but like amniocentesis, villocentesis, but just to use the blood, maternal blood, to analyze the status of disease in the fetus. Okay, from then, a lot of technique and technology has been discovered in the world, but a small group of some scientists and some friends started with a new startup in the Tor Vergata University. They obtained money from international corporates and started with a new startup, Bioscience Genomics, specialized in fetal DNA analysis. After 10 years, this experience.
Sorry, Giuseppe, to interrupt again, but you mentioned that you find money from a corporate. Have you tried to look in the venture capital world in Italy, in Europe, or outside, or your first choice, and why that? Well, your first choice was a corporate partner, a corporate investor.
But the CEO of this startup is Giuseppe Mucci's, collected money from other part of the world. In US, I think probably some from a multi-company are interested in investing in this. And we started with this. And after, we provide the service for many Italian hospitals. At the present, bioscience and genomics is present in Dubai, in Milan San Raffaele, in Rome Tor Vergata, in San Marino, and in office in US. I think it's a fantastic experience, because for example, in my university, they included in the company many biologists graduated in our university, and this is a good experience for people studying in my university. Therefore, now bioscience and genomics is completely autonomous from the university, and it's work with a company. This starter is just a startup university, but now it's a very efficient company in the world in the field of prenatal diagnostics using genomics analysis.
Good, great. So back to Conley. So my idea is that we have 45 minutes, and I ask our attendees to add question on the chat, so we can use the last 5, 10, 15 minutes for Q&A. So Conley, we discussed a lot about the team and the importance that we discussed before about the people that had experience in the development. But what is let me say, the best pitch that you want to see? So in terms of the focus of the pitch is the mechanism of action, and you want to see, if you are, since you are investing in Series A, seed, so early stage part, do you want to see a path to reach the market or the clinical phase, or you can accept, let me say, to start from an early stage, and then together with the company, the entrepreneur, you wanna design the path to enter in the market or to the clinical path?
Yeah, I think it varies a little bit between a seed deal and a Series A deal. I think with the seed, we're willing to take a little bit slightly more risk, just because that's inherently how a lot of our seed deals work. Higher risk, higher reward, I guess, is the name of the game there. But when it comes to more of a traditional Series A, I think there's definitely a way to give a pitch that is most effective. And so I think just a significant focus on the science above all, I think is maybe the #1 thing that I want to see. So I want to see, the underpinnings from a basic research perspective. I want to see, ideally, the translation of that into, some level of animal studies, in vivo, preclinical research, and just something to really validate the scientific underpinnings as well as the mechanism of action. I think that's always that just needs to be there, full stop. Second, understanding that there's still a long way to go often to a clinical trial. I really want to see an understanding of that you understand that the IND path, like how are you going to get there? Who's going to get you there? Is it just you as the CEO? Do you have that experience, or do you need someone, with more established experience as it relates to that IND enabling study work that's going to get you there within a reasonable timeline? Because I think I see a lot of companies pitching their Series A's with unrealistic expectations around how long it's going to take them to get there. I hear 12 months to IND all the time, and it's, in my experience, it's very rare that a company at a Series A that thinks that they can get to an IND filing in 12 months actually does that. It's usually need to be a little bit more realistic, and sometimes that's 1 year is often 2 years. And then obviously team is important, but when you're working with the right lead life science VC, they should be able to help you build that out. And so as an investor, I think there's also a duty on your part to kind of help think through, okay, what gaps are needed in the team as it exists today, and how can you help this company with your network maybe put the strongest team in place as part of your diligence, as part of your investment, to ensure that their success at the end of the day. And then, yeah, I think always important, but maybe not the first thing I look for, is kind of the either business model or commercial opportunity. I think there's a little bit too much focus often on kind of Me Too type opportunities. So, people see, oh, GLP-1 inhibitors for obesity are really big right now. I'm going to go after something kind of tangential to that just because I see the market opportunity there. And oftentimes, if you're raising a Series A for an obesity drug today, or for instance, you're probably too late. I want to see something more interesting than that and more innovative than that, because that's already being done by the large pharmas. So, I want to see, what is the unmet need you're trying to address? I like to see first in class, best in class potential for therapeutics, at least, because that's what really gets me excited at the end of the day, is when you're tackling something that no one else is doing. Okay. So that's a long-winded kind of way that I think about it, but hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you, Conley. Sergio, please, I see you raise your hand. Please, Sergio Strozzi.
Just very quickly, I have a comment on what Professor Novelli said. I congratulate him for what Dante
Wait a second.
and Bioscience Genomics have done, because they show us that also in Italy, the microphone is not working.
Sergio, even if you are in the middle of the Silicon Valley,
can you hear me?
My connection is not great. Yeah. It's not great. Maybe.
No, the connection is not good, unfortunately. That's the paradox, the Silicon Valley paradox, like the Italian one you mentioned before. Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's good. Try, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, just to let you know that I'm very impressed.
No.
About what Professor said about
Send a message, Sergio. Send a message, because it's important.
Sergio, it's not. No, Sergio, it's really, really bad connection. So maybe you can use the chat, or we can try in a couple of minutes on that. Okay. All right. Okay, I have another question, but I see some questions that arrive from the audience to Conley. How long is your selection process? So from the day that you met the company to the day that you signed the check, how long does it take on average? Clearly, case by case make a difference. And also, is your internal due diligence, you have a expert, internal, external expert that help you in the selection?
Yeah, so timeline-wise, it varies a lot. And so, full disclosure, so Alexandria functions more as a strategic co-investor in most of our deals. So we lead every now and then, but most of the times we're following someone else who is leading the round. I've led one or two deals, and we move pretty quickly. And so our process can be as short as, a couple months, but I would say on average in 2023, when things are moving, today slower than I've seen them in the 7 years that I've been with Alexandria. I've seen deals take anywhere from 6, 9, 12 months to close, from, date of first contact with a VC to, wrapping up a close. And sometimes that has more to do with these days of VCs just want to make sure they're doing the utmost diligence in the current environment to de-risk their new investments. And so sometimes they're requesting extensive IP diligence that may be more significant than they had done in the past. Sometimes they want to see a little bit, maybe another study or two done, just to kind of answer some kind of low-hanging fruit type questions that they might have about the science. And so, I'm telling all of kind of companies that we see that, it's taking longer than ever to get deals done. They are getting done, but that a little bit of extra patience is needed because
the valuation are changing in this environment. I think
yes,
a lot,
yeah,
a lot.
yes. So I would say valuations are where they should be today. So they've gone down significantly in the past 2 years. And when you don't have multiple investors, clamoring for the same deals like we saw for 3 years straight, valuations are going to go down as a result. And I think that's needed. I think that was a long time coming. And I'm happy to see the more reasonable valuations of 2023 that we're seeing than some of the craziness of 2021, 2022.
And what is crazy in the market, I don't know if our audience is aware of that, but as you know, Genentech is listed, so I very a lot of interest in what's going on out there. And at the moment, there are more than or around 200 companies, 200 biotech companies listed in NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange that are trading below the cash. So that doesn't mean that the pre-money is negative.
Yeah.
They have 100 million in the bank and the market cap is around 80, 70. Yep. So the pre-money is less 30. So this is something that can create a lot of competition for companies that are private, that want to present a pre-money valuation, a positive pre-money valuation. So this is something that is affecting the VC market in general and the valuation of the company. Yeah, and it's also a good moment, different from 2021, 2020, where a sort of hype was there. I remember a lot of companies that went public with 1 billion plus market cap with no clinical data, or with a couple of years before any clinical data. So Giuseppe, please, I see your answer, so please go on. You are
Sorry. Yes. Just a question for Conley. I'm very curious, Conley, what is your perception of Italian university? Because what I called it before paradox Italian, no? It in terms of level, the Italian scientists are very high level in terms of publication. But which is the perception of investors in the Italian research?
If you have a perception, I hope that you have a perception. Maybe you can be unpolite, say, oh, I don't have any perception, but please comment on Giuseppe's question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best person to ask, given that I've only spent limited time in Italy, and I'm not as familiar with the academic medical center environment there. But I think what you said earlier resonated and made a lot of sense. That I think in terms of quality of basic research, I think everyone understands that it's extremely high. But I would kind of also agree with your point that I don't think, at least in the US, that we view Italy as super translational or entrepreneurial when it comes to biotech, at least. Yeah. I think over here, and we only hear kind of like, I think people's minds kind of go to like, I don't know, like Germany or Switzerland or the Netherlands when we think about like a really robust life science environment. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing by any means. I think it's an opportunity if anything, but I think anywhere that there is strong science being done, that you can create strong commercialization as well. So I don't think I think there's definitely tons of possibility there to change that.
Following this discussion, we have a couple of questions from Francesco Senatore, the Toscana Life Science, and Ralph Antonioli about your potential interest in looking at Europe or Italy for investment. Clearly, maybe, but I let you comment on that. Maybe you need some local VC that can support the company, and maybe that can help you to enter. But as mentioned, something that I think you and a lot of VC needs to consider is that how is competitive the cost in Italy for preclinical and clinical work. But anyway, back to the original question. Are you open in this market condition to look outside US, or you want to stay focused in the US for the next 6 or 1 year for the investment?
Yeah, I mean, just given Alexandria's mandate, we really only invest in the US and Canada because we're just, that's where our real estate arm is based, is in North America. So we do have a couple of very opportunistic investments that we've made in European-based companies, but most of those have been companies in Europe that have a US presence with us. Right. So that's usually the one of the only ways kind of in the door for investment from us is if, there's a dual US EU presence and potential interest in kind of space with us on the real estate side. But who knows? I mean, there's opportunities in the future.
One of the reasons why I asked you to be part of this fireside chat is that since you are this hybrid model that I used, so thanks to Alexander Center, we have a presence in the US. We have our chief medical officer in Princeton, and we use Alexander Center as the Howard Hub when we meet. And as a lot of people are aware in this audience, we have a large number of that fly from Milano to New York. Or Rome to New York. This is something that can help to have a presence in the US. Anyway, Sergio, are you back?
Hope so. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, great. Go on.
All right, we'll try. Yeah, I wrote a text, but the two things. The first one you already asked Conley about their approach, Alexandria's venture approach to investing in Europe and in Italy, and I was very interested in knowing and listening to him, to Conley. I think, Conley, first of all, I hope you have offices in San Francisco because I would like you to be here and participate in our pitches and our Italian startups pitches here. Our goal is exactly to spread the knowledge, a little bit better knowledge of Italian startups and company among US investors. So that's why we're here. We're working on that because maybe there's a lack of knowledge, about what Italy is doing on the life sciences side. As our speakers were saying, Pierluigi, Giuseppe, for example, clinical trials are much easier in Italy due to the public system, very coordinated system than in a very largely privatized environment like US or England, for example. The second thing I wanted to mention, Pierluigi, is that I'm very grateful to Giuseppe for what he said. He showed with his two companies and startups, he showed that technological transfer in life sciences and biotech is possible in Italy. Is very important to boost and push on this subject. This is what we do here in San Francisco. We try to make our friends in Italy understand how it works in the US from university to business. The mindset, this very specific mindset we have, they have in the United States, how technological transfer works. And that's why we partner, for example, very much with the Italian scientists in North American Foundation, ISS-NAF. There are only in San Francisco, the Bay Area chapter of it counts on 400 Italian scientists operating in Stanford, Berkeley, UC Davis, UCSF. So we take advantage, we leverage on the presence of so many Italian talents here, which by the way means and shows how big a talent pool Italy has. And we partner with them to match with Italian companies and the Italian universities as well to boost the spin-offs from university to boost the technological transfer in every vertical. So that's thank you, Giuseppe, for what we are doing at Tor Vergata to foster our technological transfer. And we had the presentation of the Italian Institute of Technology, IIT, Istituto Italiano di Tecnologia, at the beginning of the year, right because of this, of the importance of the technological transfer in Italy to boost it. Thank you
very much. We are really running out of time. So thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you, Sergio, and thank you, Conley, for this discussion. Our idea is to maintain a fireside chat every month, to have a physical event in New York during the NIAF October event, and then finally to meet all of you in person in San Francisco at Innovit. Okay, thank you and stay tuned for the next fireside chat. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Grazie. Grazie.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Grazie.
Poi.
Thank you.